So, got a little more liming to do today. I've already put 2 tons of lime on this field. If it was an acre, it calls for 3.6 tons. But because I'm leaving a soft edge or a feathered edge along most of the sides, it's closer to 3/4 of an acre by the time all is said and done. So that equals about 2.7 tons per acre. And so I've already done 2 tons of barn lime. And again, if I could have got a lime truck in, that would have been the way to go and it would have been a lot less work. But I'm today using some pelletized lime. Now, depending on what study you read, some people say pelletized lime is the equivalent of a lot more lime, which I've read, but then I've also read that there really isn't a difference. Now, the one difference I will say is this is pellets, so it's a lot cleaner to work with, and it spreads easy. You can use a spreader on the tractor. You can use a bag spreader, but I prefer just a hard spreader, and this is a solo spreader. But it is really fine material, so it does break down maybe a little quicker than the other stuff. But I've got 350 pounds of this I'm going to put down, and along with the 2 tons I've already done. And again, with lime it takes some time, but I'm going to be putting in winter rye this first year, and actually probably 2 years. I'll do winter rye this fall, and that isn't as picky when it comes to the pH of the soil. And then I'll put in buckwheat next summer, and then follow it up with winter rye again in the fall. And I probably will check the pH next year just to see if I'm getting closer. I'll probably add some more pelletized lime next year as well. But it will take the lime a little bit of time. Again, if you can incorporate it in the soil, that's better. We've had a few rains and some of it's working in, and with sandy soil, again, you don't need as much lime, but you need to lime more often. That's why taking a soil test is so important. But I do like the hard spreaders just because it's a lot easier to pour material into it, fertilizer, seed, and the pelletized lime. This stuff, like I said, is a lot cleaner to work with. I can still see a bunch of lime on my boots from all the other lime I've put on this field. After we get it limed, then the next step is I've got the mower here. We're going to mow it down. A lot of stumps are in here. Now, if they were hardwood stumps, I actually would kind of like them. I mean, they're a pain to work around, but what they would do is they would send up new growth, and that would provide good woody browse and leafy material forbs for the deer. But with these are actually red pine stumps. They provide the deer nothing, and they're just in the way. And I've cut a few of them down. For this year, I'm not going to probably spend any more time on the stumps, but next year I'll probably continue to work on getting rid of the stumps. So I got the liming done for this year. Like I said, I used some barn lime because it was cheaper, and got 2 tons of that spread, and then I also added some pelletized lime today. Now the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to mow this, and the reason why I'm mowing this, in some spots there's not much vegetation up after it got logged, and other spots there's considerably more. But I'm going to mow it and then wait about a week, and then I can come back and spray it, and I'll get a better kill with the herbicide, because the weeds and the stuff that I want to get out of here is going to be so much shorter. But you don't want to cut it and then spray the same day, because the plants are under stress. So I want that new young growth coming back, and then I'll hit it with the herbicide. But we'll get her mowed today. It's going to be kind of a slow process because there still is a lot of stumps, but we'll at least get some of these weeds knocked back. we got the food plot mowed and limed, then mowed, and now I'm just using a drag. And the idea behind that is just to work the lime in a little bit, spread it out a little bit. But the benefit of this thing is, with all the stumps that are in here, I'm not going to get hung up. It would be better to disc it in, but with all the stumps, this is the next best option that I believe. So I'll just keep dragging it here, and like I said before, my plan then is to wait about a week, come back here and spray this with a herbicide, glyphosate, to kill what's in here, and then get it planted in winter rye. And I'll also need to fertilize it. I have thrown down a little bit of fertilizer, and the fertilizer that I used had some nitrogen in it, and the idea behind that is, with all the wood chips, sawdust, and such that are in here, in order for that stuff to break down, it ties up some nitrogen. So by having a little bit of nitrogen in there, maybe it'll get a jump start, but I'm going to bump up my nitrogen a little bit when I throw the winter rye out as well. Today's spray day. We got a nice day for it. No, not really much of a breeze, which is good, and it's warm enough and the sun's shining. But with the recent rain that we've had, this stuff should be ready to be sprayed. So I'm back in the food plot, and I did get my soil test back, and it came back 4.9, and I knew it was going to be low. I was hoping it'd be somewhere in the 5s, but anyway, with the amount of lime that I put on it, it was equal to over 2.5 tons, or somewhere around 2.5 tons for this half acre. And that being said, I still have some more to do, but I wanted to focus more on this because this is what's going to be in bow range. And the other thing I'm going to do to sweeten this spot up is I'm going to dig in a water hole. So I got the tractor with the stump bucket on it today, and it's a little warm, so I'd rather use the tractor than shoveling it myself. I've done that before too, but I'll at least get it started with the tractor, and I'll probably go in between a couple stumps because that's going to be dead spots anyway. The only challenge with that would be is if I hit a whole bunch of roots, so we'll see how it goes. But we got about 100 gallon, 110 gallon tank here that we'll get in the ground, and you don't have to bury these. I've had success with them up above, but it is a little more natural for the deer if you bury them, especially if you got a new deer coming in and they see this big black thing in bear country. They might think it's a bear. So by having it buried, or at least somewhat in the ground, I think it's a better option. Well, I just finished up getting the water hole dug in, and with this sandy soil, I didn't go all the way to the bottom. Sometimes if you have heavier soil where you got a chance of getting some runoff, if you bury one lip, you can catch it as the rain and runoff travel down. But with this sandy soil, I didn't think it was necessary. I got a way to fill this thing up that isn't going to be too bad. But I always like to put a stick in it, a stick or two, and the idea behind that is if a small animal gets in there, they got a way of getting out without drowning. The other thing I do is I usually put a little bit of soil in there before I put the water in. And the reason behind that is there's minerals in the soil, and then that gets transferred to the water. You know, my dog, she's got great clean cold water she can drink, but any chance she can drink out of a mud puddle, that's what she goes for. And that's the same with deer. So, you know, having a little bit of soil in there, get a little more nutrients into the water is more desirable than really, you know, just crystal clear water for them. But we'll get this filled up here and eventually, and got to put a scrape tree out here as well and such, but I wanted to get this installed.